Hello, my name is Heather McDermott, and this is my video report for my group leading report. I held a women support and encouragement group. This meeting was held on Monday, September 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. We allotted 2 hours. The location was my home, and the setting and setup was first in the kitchen for dinner, and then in the living room, which was set up in a circular fashion with all the furniture in a circular position. The participants, 20 guests were invited to attend. We had 13 in attendance, including myself, and we had 2 cancellations at the last minute. But all in all, we had a really great turnout. Relationship. Most of the guests invited were from my church Moment Maker page. We had a few outside friends and friends that my daughter had invited from college, from the group that she belongs to. I was personally acquainted with 7 of them that attended, but the rest were just attendees that answered the call and were really interested in the idea of a group support for women, because all of us have stresses and anxiety and we don't get enough support. So they were really excited at the idea of this. The group dynamics, content, and process. From 6 to 6:30, we began the group with a time together meeting in the kitchen over taco dinners. For this part of the evening, each person randomly introduced themselves, so kind of just went around the room, and each of them picked one of 3 question cards. They were icebreaker cards that I had from a set, and they were able to just talk a little bit about themselves and answer the questions so that each of us can learn just a little bit more about each other and get to know one another. At 6:30, we moved into the living room where we each took our places around in the circle with just the coffee table separating us. I chose to use the rounds technique, and we had a sentence completion questionnaire that I gave each of them, and I gave them all time to think about it and to fill it out. The questions on this sentence completion worksheet were: 1, I feel most stressed and anxious when. The second was, I feel most encouraged when. And then the third was really talking about self-care, and I feel most relaxed and comforted when I. So those were the 3 questions. The first question, I actually started the round because I thought that it would make the members feel more comfortable. And we went around going to my left after that. It seemed to work really well, as the person to my left was very sociable and very willing to share. After everyone had had a chance to share their stresses, we opened up the floor to anyone who wanted to share encouragement or to add to anybody else's comments. We found out during this time that actually many of us struggled with the exact same things. Money struggles, worried about making ends meet. Many were single moms like me. Other people were married and still struggled with income. Keeping up with kids' schedules, just being everything to everybody. And we found out that that really created a really great camaraderie amongst all of us from the very beginning, because we all had similar stresses. And so that was really great. I allotted 20 minutes for that, but we did go a little over. The second question was about what encouraged us. And we really learned a lot through this second question about what encourages us, kind of a little bit more about our love languages that each of us have. I found that most people really just needed words of affirmation to feel that they were seen, and to be just encouraged with words or acts of service. And that was something that I think that as women we need to do that more for each other, is to encourage one another and tell each other when you look pretty or when they have done just a really great job. And that's something that we don't always do. The third question was about self-care, and this question took an interesting turn. As we went through the group, one of our members was the wife of one of our county sheriff, and she shared that she could just never really take any time for herself because she just couldn't calm down at night. She was always so worried about her husband's safety, and in today's world, that is definitely a very serious worry. But at this point, we kind of opened up the group rather than continuing on in the round to, because this was a group of mostly Christian women, we just kind of spoke to her, and we talked about how when we worry, we let the enemy we're basically putting faith in the enemy, and we're opening ourselves up to more worry. And so that it really doesn't help us to worry about things that are not within our control. And so learning to relax at night and to maybe take some time to just be still before the Lord for a few minutes in prayer for safety for her husband would be a great way for her to take some time for herself. We ended the evening with challenging each other just to take 1 hour a week, even if it's only 15 minutes a day, for some kind of self-care, whether it be taking a walk outside or reading a good book or taking a bubble bath by candlelight. There's nothing greater than that. We ended the meeting, our group, with prayer, and we said goodnight. The self-assessment, I felt that our women's group went really well. However, there were moments that I felt that maybe I was a bit too wordy, and that I needed to maybe practice as a facilitator. I need to practice a little deeper listening and being more aware of people's body cues. That was something that that the Corys are really good at, and that's something that I definitely need to work on. The only challenge I faced was one other very over-talkative member, and I was able to practice gently cutting off. And so, but all in all, it went well. I'm not sure if, as a facilitator, if I handled the sheriff's wife's issue properly as a group, but I think next time, because I did share my feelings as a military widow, and others also shared with her, and I'm not sure if that made her feel like she was on the spot. So next time I'll be sure to talk to her about that. Conclusions and application. Overall, the support group was really a wonderful experience. I learned more about the skills that I need to sharpen, such as deep listening and being fully present, and the skills that come naturally to me, such as encouraging and drawing people out. All the women seemed to be really happy with the group, and they asked to do it monthly, which I was very excited about. We decided that we're going to call it Second Mondays, and we're going to leave it as an open invitation. And if our group gets too big, we can either split off into two other groups with another leader, or we can change the format up a little bit and meet in smaller groups and then come together at the end. My final thought is this. I believe that this was a really great practice run for me as and with my leadership skills. But I also realized that I have a lot to learn about leading different types of groups that may not have such willing and supportive participants. But all in all, it was a really great experience. Thank you.